More the Merrier task in Harbor, Quebec. Hello there everybody and welcome back to another exciting episode of SnowRunner here at Overfed Gaming. You're listening to the Overfed. Today we are in the More the Merrier task, which is part of the Northern Trails Travel Company contract, where we pick up 3 pallets of oil barrels and 2 pallets of vehicle spare parts and deliver them to the Mountaineering Center. Now we're in our Sleiter ST 833 Chimera, just leaving the refinery with the 3 pallets of oil barrels, and we're traveling across the top of the map here in Harbor from the right hand side to the left. We're going to go all the way to the port, and then we're going to travel south for a little bit, and then we're going to go back into the middle of the map, where the Mountaineering Center is at the top of one of the hills in the center of the map approximately. In the meantime, it's quite a drive. We got a little ways to go. Not really that long, but we got a little ways to go with a couple of little trouble spots that we'll identify along the way. Now this Chimera, you can outfit it with a 2 cargo slot flat deck or box deck like we got, or 3, whichever one you happen to need at that particular moment. I haven't used the deck that holds 3 cargo slots a lot, but I'm trying to use it a little bit more often because I think this Sleiter is one heck of a good truck. He climbs like you wouldn't believe. He's got lots of power. Like, there is nothing he can do, and even though he doesn't have any chains, which seems to be his only shortcoming, on ice roads he still performs quite well, and if you have any problems you can always drive on the side of the road and catch a little bit of the snow and get some traction that way. And that seems to be his only drawback. Now he does sway a little bit from side to side, and if that bothers you, like it used to with me, and I tended not to use vehicles like that. There's a few other ones, the twin steer does it too, and it's just not a lot of fun, but you get used to it and you get better at it. You start to manipulate the vehicles a little bit better in different ways where you can drive them without having to worry about them flipping or you losing control. Now we're over here at the little ridge ride that I prefer to drive on than the ice, because the ice, I found, I've done it once and I had nothing but trouble. I had nothing but trouble trying to get through that last little piece to get off of the ice. So I prefer to use this little ridge. And then once you get off the ridge on the end here, then you have no choice. Then you have to go onto the ice. But you can read it. If you're careful, you take your time, you can see where it's a little bit more solid. We've got the little white lines painted straight down that you can show. It shows that it's solid ice. When you get to over here, I always drive a little bit over that little mound of snow on the right hand side there. It seems to be more solid there, and then come back in again. And here too, you can see where the ice is solid. And you go a little bit to the left and make a little bit of a turn, and you can pull right back into the port parking lot, or port area, I guess. The warehouse is down there, and the offices are down there. There's all sorts of stuff here. But we have no time to stop because this is not our destination. We are just going to go through here, and if we had any damage, this is another thing you got to remember. Sometimes when you pick up damage along the way, and if you have used up all your repair points, or if you don't happen to carry any, depending upon which truck it is, right over here, straight ahead in front of that building is an area where you can get your vehicle repaired. You can repair your vehicle, make your repair points, if you carry any, back up to 100%, and then you're on your way. Now we're going to head a little bit further south on the side of the map here, and we're going to hit a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow, a little bit of mud. We're going to have a little bit of everything as we're going to try and come down a little bit to the point where we got to climb up the hill. Now, even with this Sleiter, even though he's very capable and a lot better at some of the things than a few of the other trucks, you still got to take your time. There's no point in rushing or racing or doing something that's out of character, because it's just going to put you into a difficult position or get you stuck somewhere. Now, when you come around this corner here, you can see that little bit of a wet area in the snow there. Try to stay out of that. I don't care how good your truck is, you get in there and it'll take you a while before you get out. You might even have to call for help. So we're going to try and avoid places like that if we can. This is a little bit of a tight fit trying to get through the rocks here, but we'll do okay. And there again too, when you hit ice level, if you're not sure on where to drive, I always try to stay as close to the rock side as possible. Now, I know I've been through here a few times, so I know where the solid ice is, but even still, you still fall through in certain places because you don't always take the same route. Sometimes you go a different route and then you still fall through in places. So it's part of driving on the ice. As long as you don't fall through too deep, and then you can't get out of the hole anymore. But we don't have too far to go on the ice, only to right here, and we're going to climb up the hill here. Now there again, we are getting down to very few tasks left in Quebec on both maps, Lake Riviere and Harbor, and I've been through some of these a few times. I've been through here with different trailers and different trucks, and a truck like the Sleiter shouldn't have, like this Sleiter should not have any problems coming through here, unless of course you drive off the edge. But then it's operator error, not machine error. And there too, he seems to do quite well in automatic. He just seems to grind right through. I don't never have to put it into the high range or the low gear, because even though that will give you better torque, it will slow you down a little bit. So I keep it in automatic because he goes a little bit faster. And because we got a little bit of a longer truck than the Avonhorn or the Plaid, having the 3 cargo slot, now the Sleiter is kind of like the Kenworth. And you don't have to really worry about off track. I mean, it's not that long and I'm not pulling a trailer, but you still have to, you know, keep it under consideration that your vehicle is a little bit longer than normal. Now, as you're climbing up over here, I like to try and stay to the left-hand side, because right over here you can't see it, but there's a dip in the road, and if you would have been on the rock down the right, you would have dropped off of that. I know, because I did that once. And once was all it took. I never did it again. So now I try to stay a little close to the side. And this here mud pit is not an issue. Sometimes I think they put them in there just for looks. Now, once we get back up to the main artery here, we're going to take a left. And the reason we went down at ice level and around is if you would have gone on the road, there is a detour up ahead here. And the road that you see, you can't take. So you end up having to go into the detour, and taking the ice for a road is a better way. It's a better option. So here we're going to turn off and go inwards, go towards the center of the map. Now the Mountaineering Center is at the top of the hill on the left-hand side. It does, the drop-off location marker does show that we're going in the wrong direction, but the road will turn in that way. Once we get off the road here, we're gonna go back to four-wheeling right here. We're gonna hang a left. Then we're going to do a little bit of four-wheeling. We've been through here too, you know, and it is, well, it's a difficult area, more difficult for some trucks than others, depending upon how much power they got, what kind of wheels they got, what kind of tires they got on the truck. And what kind of a load that you're carrying. Of course, the heavier the load, the harder it's going to be to get through an area like this. But it almost seems like the Sleiter almost seems like he's made for this kind of drive. Just that the frame is a little bit too long, I find. Now just after these pine trees, we got to hang a tight left. Start going up the hill a little bit. We can't quite make the turn because of the length of the frame. And as you can see, the frame length does get you into trouble, and it really gives you into trouble over here. I forgot about these rocks, and you got to kind of slide from left to right and in between them, and you just can't do that with this truck because he's too long, he's too big. So it's too late now. We've got him here, and we're just going to climb up any which way we can. I still say, you know, go slow is the best way to go about it, because that way you can reverse any kind of trouble spot if you happen to get yourself into trouble. Now, this particular area here, I couldn't make the turn in one shot, obviously. But go around the left side of this rocky outcropping in the middle of this water area is the better way. Don't go on the right hand side. You could try it. I've done it once, and it took me a while to get through. So now I keep going this way, and even though it isn't always easy either, it's definitely a little bit better than the other way. And we just keep chugging along. Boy, I tell you, this truck is definitely, I never used them much when I first got them. I think you pick them up in Washington or Austria. I can't remember where you get them now. But I didn't use them that much at first, and then I started playing with the different configurations, the different decks on them, the different motors, and all the different options for them. And I quite like them. I quite like him, and he gets three cargo slots delivered every time he goes. Or, like I said, you can put on a 2 cargo slot and put a crane with it. Now here we got a little bit of an issue having to climb up this little rock, and I thought it was going to be a problem. But you get up to the rock, and then I just slowly give it some throttle, and it just seems to climb up there. Now this is one of the jobs that's got some really tight turns and corners. The road to get to the Mountaineering Center is a little difficult. And right over here you got another little area where you got to kind of snake back and forth from side to side. And I didn't think this truck was going to do it, but the terrain almost kind of pushes you back and forth. Like that, you climb right out of it. So it's just amazing. Now when you come up here, you could go one of 2 ways. You can go stay to the left hand side and go over that little trail of ice there, or you could go up on the snow, and then you got 2 little bridges you got to go over. Now the little bridges are over to one side. They're very narrow, and they're hard to line up for if you got a vehicle with a long frame or you're pulling a trailer. So I decided to go over the ice. Now the ice seems easier, but it's still a little tough. The ice is soft over here. There again, because of the size of the truck, it's hard to go back and forth. But not too bad. The tough part is on this other side here. Once again, you got to try and climb up a little bit of a rocky area, and I thought I was going to have trouble with that because there's really, the trees, I believe, are too far away to winch on. But there again, I just put the truck up to the side of it, and it just kind of climbed up. Quite surprising, I might say, but very welcoming. Now we got to go up the left-hand side there, but of course the truck being so big I couldn't make a turn. And this particular it's kind of like a detour. We could have gone around the hill, but it would have taken 3 times as long. And I thought I'd go up this detour, although I know it's really deep snow and it takes a long time to get up there. Imagine my surprise when we started off slow, but I was impressed by how quick this Sleiter picked up a little bit of speed and got some decent traction on here. I mean, you gotta admit, that's pretty impressive climbing up this hill like that. And we're not there yet. We still got a couple of issues to put up with. But we're getting close. We turned on the headlights so we can see a little bit better, and hopefully we get to drop off this cargo before the sun goes down. But like I said, it's at the top of the hills. We still got a little ways to go. Now, one issue I said that we still have is right here in front of us. I mean, if they call this we ran into a rock over there. If they call this a road, I tell you, here we gotta kind of climb down the rocks and then climb back up again. But like I said before, you know, the crawling up some of these smaller rocks, he doesn't seem to really have a problem with. And he's got great traction. Alright, well, this was the detour. The detour takes you right up to, well, just a little bit up ahead where that pine is on the right hand side. That's where the detour stops, and I tell you, I've gone up here with different trucks that took at least twice as long as what the Chimera did it in. I wish I would have known that before I used the other trucks in all those trips. Anyhow, we're past the detour and we're on to the last little leg of our trip up the hill. Another little muddy area to go through. But after what we've already done with this truck and this here task, boy, this little mud area is not going to stop it now. Absolutely awesome. Almost at the top. That looks like we're going to have another successful delivery. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe got some tips and tricks out of it. If you don't want to miss any of the upcoming videos, hit that subscribe button, because we got some good ones coming up, and we're posting them almost on a daily basis for the time being. Anyhow, we've been driving in a Sleiter ST 833 Camaro, delivering 3 pallets of oil barrels up here to the Mountaineering Center in our Chimera, with me as your driver, the Overfed.